Hello everybody, I'm Lady Sullivan and welcome to my realm of purpose. Today I just wanted to have a little bit of fun translating some Elven from the games to keep the channel active while I'm still working on a much bigger project. If you notice me going a little bit overboard with the translations, that's just typical me. And if you disagree with the translations, that's fair. I'm working with a very limited lexicon and absolutely no qualifications in translation of languages or anything to do with that. I'm just really into Elven. 1. What Solas says to Sera.
Ardathanas Elgara Masula Eva Venan. Excuse me?
Excuse yourself. Whatever you said and what I did, same difference to me.
I'd hoped, well, our people can sometimes feel the rhythm of the language, despite lacking the vocabulary.
Know what else is good? Words that mean things. Like these. Words.
Venhides Lhasa.
The way I'll be working for these translation is breaking it down bit by bit. So each word I will translate and then at the end we'll go into the wibbly wobbly parts and putting it together for a translation. Ar means I. Ara can also mean I. Dirthanas, I'm unsure what as translates to, but Dirthan at least means a place of knowledge or learning, or even just communication, to communicate something. Ir means I am. Elgara means sun. It is a spirit-related word. Elgar means spirit. Masula means you sing. Ma coming from you, and Sula coming from Sulan, which means sing. Ivar, I don't know what the E could be for. It could mean Enasal, it could be Enast, it could be Elven. Up to you to decide, honestly, but I would interpret it to mean Elven, probably. But Var means our. And then Venan.
Venan.
Venan!
Arlath ma Venan. Venan. Come with me, Venan.
Venan. Venan.
Venan.
Venan.
Which means heart, or place of the people, home. It comes from Ven, which means people or person, and An suggesting a place of the people. For example, Elven is the Elven people. Now that I've considered that, saying if Elven means the Elven people, does Elgara mean elf come? Because Garas means to come, and if El is the elf part of Elven, which means the Elven people, does that mean elf come? Or come elf? Let's not get into that because I'm realising what that sounds like now. Okay. Anyway, so the entire thing of what Solas says to Sera is Ardathanas ir Elgara Sula Evar Venan, which means, if we're taking all of that translation from before to mean I impart that or as I am the sun, you sing our heart. Or put more plainly, it means I'm better than you hear me? Solas says this to Sera of all people. He knows she's a city elf who speaks very informally and with a great deal of slang. There's no reason for Solas to believe that she actually understands what he's saying, since the only elves who tend to know Elven are Dalish or ancient elves, of which she is neither. And yes, he does also say our people sometimes feel the rhythm of the language, even if they don't understand what is being said. But I genuinely believe he's just covering his ass, because Sera caught him off guard with her response.
Excuse me?
Excuse yourself. Whatever you said and what I did, same difference to me.
He's basically lording over her this knowledge, this identity of Elven, to purposefully speak such poetry of Elven at her, knowing she doesn't understand, feels like he's trying to make her feel inferior in some way. Perhaps he might just be acting out his nature, hoping she asks further questions to make him feel like a Horen in this situation. Kind of like what a Llewellyn would probably do. But it is to make her feel smaller, and she gives the best response to that. And then Solas ends it with Venhides Lhasa. Venhides means wolf something, and Lhasa means to give or grant. Fenhidis is a common curse used by elves, as stated by the Codex entry, Common Curses from Inquisition. Then there are all those beautiful words that just mean sod it. When that loose cobblestone flips and the ankle cracks, an elf will cry, Fenhidis, while a human might, damn it. A Kunari might mumble, Vashadan. I've even heard a couple of Tevinters yell, Kafar. So basically it's just a curse. The start contains Fen, meaning wolf in Elven, so perhaps it's part of a curse towards Fen'Harel, blaming him for some misfortune one comes across. Lassa implies the speaker giving or granting this curse. I would say Solas is saying to Sera, damn you, or curse you. And of course he once again says it in Elven because he's a salty bitch and we love him for it. Number 2. Let's spice things up with some Dalish marriage vows spoken by the Inquisitor to Cullen during Inquisition's Trespasser DLC.
I make a promise. Solas inaste var aravel. Lama. Aralas mirlath. Belanaris.
Before we get into the translation, I'd like to point out that it's unclear if this is an official marriage vow Llewellyn learned, or if it's something that she made up on the fly. Headcanon that either way to your heart's content. Personally, I like the idea that she made it up on the spot because that's just super cute. No greater reason. Now for the translation. Solas. Solas is the elven goddess of the hearth and domestic arts. Enast means favour, not to be confused with Enansal, which means blessing. Var means our. Aravel means the Dalish landships, or to journey with purpose. It seems to be a combination of Ara or Ar, which means I, and Vel, possibly meaning go, to go. So it would be I go. Lama doesn't have an official translation, but I'm going to combine las or lassa to mean give or grant or bestow, and ma meaning you. You are granted or given. Ara means I, las mean to give, grant or bestow, mir meaning my, lath meaning love, and Belanaris meaning eternity or forever. So let's break this down, shall we? In total, the translation would be Solas favour or journey. To or for you, I grant my love for eternity. The invoking of Solas is an interesting but appropriate choice of the elven deities. The Dalish pray to her to heal the sick and watch over the innocent, especially children. She was the one who gave the elves fire and taught them how to weave rope and thread, and how to use herbs for healing. Her path is called the Vir Atishan, or the Way of Peace, a difficult set of guidelines for those who want to pursue healing and mending. You could argue Solas is the most domestic of the elven gods, hence why she was invoked in these vows. But she symbolises patience and healing in contrast to her sister Andruil, who was a bit of a go-getter, to put it mildly. This gets emphasised by the use of Belanaris at the end, to mean eternity. That kind of love would simply require patience, rather than pure heat of the moment obtainment. It is love rather than passion. Not to say that the two can't coexist in the same place, but if we're going to set up that contrast, that's kind of what's being symbolised here. Especially since it's Cullen that Llewellyn is saying this to, and it may be lost on him as an Andrastian who doesn't understand Elven. Maybe one day Llewellyn teaches him. That's a cute headcanon, actually. Ooh. But Llewellyn is declaring that the rest of their lives together will be peaceful, patient, and healing, which is exactly what they both need. As for Enast, which I said isn't to be confused with Enansal, which means blessing, for the sake of establishing that it's different to be favoured rather than blessed. Blessing has religious connotations, a holy sanction, like the Christian act of saying grace before or after a meal. To acknowledge God or a god in an act and ask them to put part of themselves into it in a way. Enast is favour, which is far less religious, like for a person to be favoured or have favour, or to perform a favour, an expectation of support, approval, or preferential treatment. Of course, it is what Llewellyn asks Solas to favour that's the important part. Their Aravel. She says Var Aravel, or Ur Aravel. Aravels are the landships, or caravans, pulled by Hala that's iconic to the Dalish. Their lives essentially revolve around these wagons. It's the closest thing they have to a home in modern Thedas. The Codex entry Aravels from Dragon Age Origins explains it far better than I can. Someone once told me that humans flee when they see the sails of our Aravels, flying above the tops of trees. I say good, let them flee. The Dalish, who bond together in small groups of blood relatives, travel in ornately carved wagons known as Aravel, drawn by large white stags called Hala. The Aravel are a unique sight, beautiful in their swooping curvature, and adorned with broad hoods and bright silken cloths that flap in the wind, often displaying the noble banners that once flew over that family's house. Most humans refer to the Aravel as landships, for in a strong wind, it can often appear as if the elves travel in long boats with sails high overhead to announce their arrival, or warn others away. Aravel is also a word for a spiritual or physical journey with purpose, or in other words, to journey, but not idly or on a whim. Llewellyn is asking Solas, this goddess of peace and healing, to show favour to their home, and or their journey that they are committing to together. The second half of this vow goes Lama, Ara Lasmir Lath, Belanaris. Lama, as I said before, doesn't have a translation, but my best guess is that it's a combination of Lassa or Las, meaning to give, grant or bestow, and Ma, meaning you. Its placement in the sentence gives it this reverential feel, as the sentence translates to you I give my love, not I give to you my love, or I am giving you my love, which feels a lot less ceremonial. It's emphasising that this is about the partner, not the self. My vow is to and for you. Belanaris ends it, almost like an amen, but primarily this is a confirmation of eternal devotion, to say forever, not merely the end of our lives. Easily this could have been worded differently to until death, or to death do us part, as your conventional wedding vows go. But eternity is a far deeper promise, implying that not even death could part them. Of course, since this is a vow given in Elven, it could be referencing to perhaps a more ancient vow, since the elves were once immortal and saying for eternity was a lot more literal for them. But it's sweet as a conclusion, especially for an Inquisitor and Cullen, and their new pet dog, who just go off to live the rest of their lives in peace, which is exactly what they needed after what the world's done to and asked of them. Free. Solas and the Nightmare Demon.
Döth ma Herelan, ma banal inasalin, marsolas ina Martin.
Bonal Nadas.
Dearth means to speak, to learn, to communicate or impart something to another. Ma means you, Harlan means traitor or liar, coming from Harl and Lan meaning to lie or trick one's kin. Ma, once again, you, banal meaning nothing, none or never, complete absence of something. Enasaline means victory, to win, success. That comes from Enna Saline, which means is completion. Mar, meaning your, not to be confused with mir or var, meaning my and our. Solis, meaning pride, to stand tall. Enna, related to the word na, which means is. Mar, meaning your once again. And Din, meaning death or the dead, or, the end, doom. All in all, this translation would be speaking to you, liar/traitor, you nothing victory, your pride is your death. The deep dive into this translation will help it make more sense because Elven just likes to be complicated for no real reason. Haralan, of course, is your reminder of Fenharel, which means wolf of lies or tricks or lying or trickster wolf. Fen meaning wolf and Harel meaning to lie, trick or deceive. Dreadwolf is just another title, by the way, but the wolf is overall theme of Solas's figurehead identity, and adding dread to a title is just a thing apparently. Even the Inquisitor gets called the Dread Inquisitor at some point in the game.
I never intended for you to be involved.
Of course not. Magister Parvis couldn't come to Skyhold and be seen with the Dread Inquisitor.
Harlan also has connotations with the Dalish elves, meaning a traitor to one's kin, as it combines Harl and Lan, liar or deceiver, and kin. The interesting part is Lan. Indulge my explanation because it gets complicated, as I said before. Lethallen is what one elf might call another as a familiar name, like sibling or bloodkin or simply fellow elf. Lethallen is the gender-neutral version, while Lethalan is the female variant, sister, basically, and Lethaline is the male variant, brother. To break this word down for those who are interested, because that's why we're here, Lethal doesn't have an official meaning, so my interpretation is that it means loving, because the closest sounding word to lethal is lath, meaning love. Len, Lan, Lean means blood, but blood like identity, as we have Dalen to mean a child or a student, literally little blood. Da attached to a word implies something is little or small, so Len must be blood. And if you're wondering, well, why is it blood then? Well, we have Valis Lean, which means blood writing. And if lean is in that word, Valis must mean something else. And it does. The Valis Lean are what the Dalish call their tattoos. And we know that Valis means setting, like the sun, which to me could also mean writing, like you let ink or paint set on a surface texture. Setting, blood writing, Valis Lean. Basically, I'm saying Lethalan, Lethaline, Lethaleen means loving blood, or loving kin. It just feels like the most appropriate translation with the information that I have. The use of Lan in Haralan suggests it's feminine, and I think it's interesting to have a trickster or traitor be feminine inclined, especially if you're calling a man this. Mabanal en Asaline means you, nothing, or never victory. Using ma or you instead of mar, meaning your, feels purposeful since mar is used later in this line. You, not your, followed by nothing victory, you nothing victory, instead of your nothing victory. Nothing victory could also be interpreted to mean absolute failure or defeat. Nothing victory, absolutely no victory. Therefore, defeat or failure. I'm second guessing myself, but I hope that makes sense. Nightmare sounds to me like they're telling Solas that he is someone who embodies failure or defeat. You, failure. You, nothing victory. You, pathetic being. Banal also has connections to Darkspawn and the Blight, as Banalin is the Elven word for the Blight, literally the place of nothing. Interpret that at your leisure. Then Nightmare ends their taunt with Marsolas ena Mardin, which translates roughly to your pride is your death, or end, which feels pretty self-explanatory. Solas's name means pride. It's his original name, before Fen'Harel or Dreadwolf or Bringer of Nightmares or He Who Hunts Alone or any of the rest of them.
You're Fen'Harel.
I was Solas first. Fen'Harel came later. An insult I took as a badge of pride.
Without going into a full-on character breakdown, Solas's greatest flaw is his pride. That he believes he's the smartest in any room he's in. And therefore nothing escapes his notice, no one can outwit him. And yet he overlooks a lot. He is smart, he is wise, but he's also incredibly proud, and that could easily be the death of him, if it wasn't for sheer dumb luck at the best of times. Nightmare is calling him out on this, telling him, you, at your core, your identity, is what is wrong with you. And you know this deep down. You will be your own downfall, and you can't escape it unless you become something else entirely. Is that any better than your death?
Most of us are exhausted. We've been fighting that demon. You summon that demon!
Except it was a spirit of wisdom at the time. You made it kill! You twisted it against its purpose! Lethaline, Irabelas.
Tel Abalos en Asel Atalin. Mamilava Halane. Manasuladinadas. Magilani Midanan.
Manuvinin. Dareth Shira.
So here's the final full translation. Speaking to you, traitor, you're an absolute failure. Your pride will be the death of you. And Solas responds, Banal Nadas. Banal means nothing, never, none. Nadas means inevitability, something that is certain. You could translate this as nothing is inevitable, or not necessarily, or my personal favourite, to reflect on what Nightmare said with Banal Enasaline, meaning absolute failure. Banal Nadas could mean it's possible, not inevitable, or Solas responding with bet. And that just feels like the most Solas response to a nightmare demon trying to tell you you are everything that is wrong with you. I love it. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. I can be tempted into making a part 2 if you guys are interested enough, but this was really just some fun work to upload while I'm working on a much, much bigger project. I say project, a video. A much, much bigger video about Solas and Elgernan's relationship. They're two characters I really love, and yeah, I went a bit overboard with that one too. It's a few hours long. I hope you enjoy it when it comes out eventually. I hope you enjoyed this one in the meantime. If you have any better translations for the Elven mentioned in this video, please leave it in the comments. I'd love to read it. If you have any ideas for Elven in a part 2 that you'd like to see me translate, that'd be awesome too. Gives me something to do while I work on larger projects. I think I'm just going to start doing this now. Just fun little videos to keep us going. Yeah, that's about it. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day.